The first step in building trust. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I think the part which is important about building trust is to realize when you can articulate the problem that your client, customer is facing in a way better than they can.
Okay.
That is the first step to start looking at the problem. So what that means is you should research your company's clients as much as possible. The moment you understand more details, what drives them, because there are two things you should always know about anytime you're trying to sell to a customer as well, is to realize that there is a triggering event.
Okay.
The triggering event might be they moved recently, or they were upset with the phone company that they were dealing with.
Right.
So those are triggering events in your business.
Right, of course.
Okay? And the next step that you have to understand is you have to provide and understand the decision-making process they go through in order to buy your services. So like I'm a business coach. Why do they hire a business coach? Well, sometimes they start a new business, or their business is no longer doing as well as they were doing before.
Okay.
Correct? Now they need some information, some guidance to say, hey, we can't keep doing what we are doing because we will lose money otherwise. And that's where you need to inform them using information products to bring them from the point of just kind of irritated with the problem to the point that they need the solution right now.
Right.
And the information products are, like we said, 5 ways to reduce your telecommunication bill. 3 things which are hidden in your communication package that you can use to maybe get out of the arrangement or find a way to negotiate a better arrangement. Or if you can't do any of those, then hire Bluetel because we know how to deal with this situation, etc. So information products. Now some people say, I don't know how to create information products. I'm not a good writer, etc. Well, here is a simple thing. You can always interview an expert. If you want to be known as an expert, you can also interview an expert. And here is a CD that I used in the beginning stages. Here is somebody who is an expert on networking, Bob Burke. I interviewed him. So a lot of people listened to the conference call that I did, and I created a CD from it. Guess what? Because I'm connected to an expert, I'm also known as an expert.
Can you tell our viewers how they can organize their information to be known as an expert themselves?
That's a good question. What I would like people to understand is whatever they have been doing for a long time, they're already an expert. Now you might say, Minesh, I don't have as much information, I'm not as organized, etc. Don't worry about it. Anything you have been doing for a while, you are more of an expert than your prospect any day. Can you not teach your prospect? Like for example, Randy, if there was a good friend who wanted to know how to make a good decision on buying telecommunication package. They're either starting out a company or they've been burnt, etc. And this person you're just trying to help out, maybe a cousin, a friend, brother-in-law, or whoever else it is.
Right.
Could you not tell them a few things what they should be doing in order to get the best deal possible?
Of course, it's a piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake. You have been doing it for a while.
Right.
The same thing, when people come to me, like today I was helping a client about the hiring. So I sat in a couple of interviews and I could see the things they were doing wrong. Why? I've been helping clients all over the country with my book, Stop Hiring Losers, for such a long time. I can teach clients on how to make a better decision in hiring a good candidate and having an employee who will stay there for a while.
Which is very important, especially now, because you don't want to hire somebody and that's all wasted cost and find out that they didn't work out.
Exactly. And I think people don't realize that they already have a lot of information. Now, I'm an expert in helping people organize that information. But there are some simple things you can teach based on what I just talked about. And if you can teach that to a friend, you can teach that to a prospect. And that's how you start organizing your information. First, knowing what the problem is and what are the steps to solve that problem.
Okay. You were saying that publishing your book is relatively easy today. What are the steps to get involved to become known as an expert or an author?
Well, the point which I think most people miss is that an author equals authority. So if you want to get media attention, you want to become known as an author. You want to become known as an expert in your field. Now, the process is not that complicated because you already have the information, in my opinion. You already know a little bit. I talked about organizing the information. Now, you piece it together step by step. Now, maybe it's a 5-page information or it could be 200-page book. Now, it takes time. I want to be clear about that. In some cases, it will take time. To give you advice about here, like when I started the book, Network Your Way to $100,000 and Beyond with Chuck Gifford, it took us 2 years from the time we started to get it published. Now, once I knew the process, the book Stop Hiring Losers took me 45 days.
Wow, okay.
From start to finish and actually having it in my hands. Now, why did it take so little time? Because I already knew the process. The process included organizing the information. I had case studies already that I had because I have dealt with so many different clients. Then I knew that once I organized the information, I had to write the chapters in a proper manner, get somebody to edit it for me, and also have the layout person make it attractive. Now, one of the most important things is the title, because I think it should catch people's attention. You also need to have an expert help you with the cover design, because the only thing people see first is the cover.
Right.
And that's why you don't want to have a cover that's not very catchy. You want to have a title which is catchy, like Stop Hiring Losers, 30-Day Total Business Makeover, Top 10 Blunders Business Owners Make. It's a catchy title with information which is guided for the person to make that, whatever that information, pertinent to their situation. And once you have that, then printing nowadays is very simple. You have print-on-demand companies which can print a copy. So you can test which looks appropriate, and you can test it out with the marketplace that you have, your clients, and see if that grabs their attention. So the steps are not that complicated. We can help people do that in 90 days or less nowadays.
Can you tell me some of the success stories on how using a book can get professionals more clients?
I'll give you an example here. Here is the book 30-Day Total Business Makeover. And this is my friend Marie Jakubiak. She's a CPA. Now, you and I know there are a lot of CPAs, correct?
Right, of course.
So one of the things I do nowadays, because some people are like, I don't have time to write the whole book. Don't worry. There are ways to write one chapter, one story, and the book which I'm currently doing is You Will Overcome, and where all people have to do is tell their story. So this book, for example, 30-Day Total Business Makeover, we had a chapter with Marie Jakubiak. She's teaching people how to best use their CPA. And what she did was she took a few copies, gave it to John, who is the credit union manager she knows. A couple of days later, she gets a call from somebody who was referred by John and said, hey, I got your book, and I'm looking for a CPA. Can you help me? Now, do you realize he didn't call 10 CPAs? Do you realize he didn't ask Marie, how many years have you been doing this? No. What happened? He suddenly was recommended, number one, and number two, he saw her picture on the cover of a book, which is not that difficult to do today. And she was excited. And she was telling me the other day that she went to a networking event, she sold a couple of copies of the book, she had a referral partner take a couple of copies because that referral partner was already bringing her a couple of leads that could become her client. So even when other people are struggling because you're looking out, you're standing out as an expert. I have another client who uses this system very well. He's Dan Isidorek with PC Miracles, and he sends out information every week to let people know, hey, I am the expert. I have the knowledge to take care of your PC needs, networking needs, etc. And he's also in one of the books because he knows how to help out. Gary Pipi, I gave you an example. He has got more business now from internet than before. His website has information, how to make a decision regarding buying an electrical generator, etc.
If somebody wants to become part of your book, how can they do that?
Randy, here is what it is. First of all, they have to be committed. They are looking to say, hey, I want to separate myself from the competition. And my website is youwillovercome.com. And if they go to youwillovercome.com, which is fully spelled out, YOUWILLOVERCOME, they will get the information on how by writing a small story. And even if they don't want to write a story, I can interview them for 15 minutes and get an angle for their story on what they have overcome in their business, in their life. Like starting a business, or they had a setback, or they had a family setback. There are a lot of different stories that they can have. Like I struggled with publishing a book. The first time I started one, I failed. Second time I started, again failed, until I found a mentor who helped me do that. So if they go to the website, they can get all the information they need. But the key part that I want them to remember is very simple. All they have to do is have some of a compelling information that they want to share with their people. And once they have that information, which I can help them with, they use a book where we can put a picture on the cover. And I think one of my friends told me that people keep a business card for 1 hour and 26 minutes, but they keep a book on their shelf for over 2 years.